everybody, my name is Danielle Nicole and welcome to Monetary Makeup. I have a super exciting video for you guys today. I was trying to decide between ordering the new Tarte Ultra Creamy Shape Tape Concealer versus the Kosas Revealer Concealer, and there really weren't any reviews online comparing the two, so I thought why not order them both and review them together. So that's the products that we'll be reviewing today. So while we review the new Kosas Revealer Concealer versus the new Tarte Ultra Creamy Shape Tape Concealer, the topic of the day is going to be a follow-up from the Maybelline 4-in-1 Perfector video, where I discussed why more often than not, Social Security is not enough to live a comfortable retirement. So in this video, we're going to discuss some solutions that may help you, perhaps you've never considered them, to supplement your own retirement income. So if you're excited to get started, don't forget to hit the like button and let's get started. Okay, so I've got you guys zoomed in, and I said this in my previous video, but if you can just bear with me, I know the lighting isn't fantastic, but I do plan on upgrading my lighting system soon, and I will be doing swatches and a wear test of these concealers for you outside in natural daylight so you can get a better idea of what this looks like in natural daylight. So I picked up the shade in the Tarte Ultra Creamy Concealer 12B, and it does look to be actually pretty fair. But that's okay, we'll probably be able to get away with it. And in the Kosas Revealer Concealer, I picked up the shade 1.5, and this looks like it's going to be a pretty good match for me. So I guess we'll have to see once we get this on my face. Now, unpopular opinion here, but I was not a fan of the original Shape Tape Concealer. Now, when I was in my 20s, I could slap on any makeup product, honestly, whether it was dollar store, high-end, it didn't matter. Everything pretty much looked good, but tell me if you guys can relate. Once you hit your 30s, at least when I hit my 30s, my skin changed dramatically. So I think part of the reason I didn't like the original Shape Tape is because it was just too drying. So I'm really excited to see how this new Ultra Creamy Concealer works. And also, I've heard a lot of really great things about this Kosas Revealer Concealer. It's supposed to be a skincare added ingredient, so it is quite a bit more expensive. As far as the ounces go, in the Tarte, you get 10 milliliters or 0.33 fluid ounces, versus Kosas, you get 6 milliliters or 0.20 fluid ounces. So that's a pretty big difference. So the Kosas concealer is more expensive. So I have two damp Shot Missé sponges. I do find this is the best application for me. Because my under eyes are dehydrated, I do actually have oily dehydrated skin, but it's particularly drying on my eyelids sometimes, but right now underneath my eyelids. So hopefully that'll be a good gauge whether this could be a good or bad concealer for you if you also have oily dehydrated skin. Okay, so let's open up this Tarte Ultra Creamy Shape Tape Concealer, again in the shade 12B. This doe foot is gigantic. I mean, it's as big as half of my eye. I just find these large doe foot so ridiculous. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one, but I got a really big kick out of it. And now let's see what the Kosas, okay. So the Kosas doe foot, in my opinion, is going to be a little bit easier to use. I mean, I guess if you need to apply a ton of product, the larger doe foot would work better. And typically, I don't wear a ton of concealer, but just for the video's sake, I am going to apply more than I normally would, because if I just apply a tiny bit, I don't think it's... Do you guys see that fly? Really? Okay, off to a great start. So let's go in with the Tarte Ultra Creamy Shape Tape, and I'm going to apply that to my left eye. And the only thing I have on my skin right now is the KVD foundation, the top portion of my eyeshadow on and my brows. So I don't have anything underneath my eyes. I didn't bring up the foundation. I was really careful to keep that below. So let's just dab a little bit of this on. Now this is a lot more concealer than I would typically use, but that's okay. I want to see how this product looks and if it creases. So let me dab this in. Okay, so I can already tell this concealer is full coverage, and I know I said I was going to apply more, but I'm gonna actually wipe off a little bit because this is just way too much. So note to self, if you do have this concealer or you're interested in trying it, definitely go in with a light hand. And I'm gonna bring it down the side of my nose right here. Wow, I literally just wiped off a ton, and whoops, and I still have a ton to blend out. And I know that you're typically supposed to pounce a damp sponge, but as far as this area, I typically just swipe it right here to create that sharp cat eye effect with my eyeshadow, especially if you went over, which I did go a little bit over today. Wow, this shade is very fair. So if you're fairer than me, this wasn't even the lightest shade. This is 12B, as I said. So the shades do seem to go pretty fair and deep from what I could see online as well. Yeah, this is definitely full coverage, so next time, note to self, don't go in with half the bottle. Okay, so I just finished blending out the Tarte Ultra Creamy Shape Tape on my left eye, and tell me if you can notice a difference, concealer, no concealer. I definitely can, and again, I'll go outside in natural daylight, but that did a great job at covering up my under eyes. And I know I don't have terribly dark under eyes, but again, if I ever needed to have one, that's why I like to invest in a higher end concealer. So this is what it's looking like. I think it looks great. It is definitely full coverage, so once again, I wouldn't go in with nearly as much as I went in with. So this is the bad boy that I'm particularly excited about. I have heard so many people talk about how great this concealer is, especially Amanda Z. I don't know if you guys follow her on YouTube, but she has not necessarily super dark under eyes, but she has hollow under eyes, and she said that this is the only concealer that has that effect. So let's go in with this on my right side. So I am going to have to apply a little bit more just because the doe foot is quite a bit smaller. So I think that was about how much I had on this side. So the Tarte Ultra Creamy did blend out very well, and it doesn't look drying as of right now. So let's get a gauge for how this feels blended out. And the shade is a little bit darker, so you might notice more of a brightening effect on this side. But what I'm really curious about is the texture and the creasing and all of that good stuff. And I am taking it all the way up to my lash line, which I normally don't do because that's where I crease, but that's exactly why I'm applying that there. So right off the bat, I would say that this Kosas Revealer Concealer is also full coverage, but I do find it's not quite as thick in consistency as the Tarte. Take it down my nose just like I did on the left side. What's interesting, you guys, is that the Kosas in 1.5 was quite a bit darker. Not too dark for me, but just darker than the 12B in Tarte. But the way it's blending out, you almost can't tell, which is a good thing. Really didn't feel like walking around with two completely different sets of under eyes today, but you never know. Okay, so both sides are blended out, and let me come closer so you guys can see a little bit better. So Tarte Ultra Creamy, Kosas Revealer. I am already liking the Kosas a little bit more. They both appear to be full coverage, but this looks just a little bit more hydrating, and the consistency is not as thick, so I'm curious. Let me know down below in the comments right now before we do the wear test. Can you guys see a difference? I think it looks just a little bit more natural and not as cakey, I guess, as the Tarte. Okay, I am really excited to do a word test and go head to head with the Kosas versus the Tarte Ultra Creamy Shape Tape. I'm going to finish up the rest of my makeup, and while I do that, we're going to cut into swatches and then the topic of the day. So let's go to that right now. Hi everybody, so really quick before we jump into swatches, I just realized a lot of you are probably wondering why I didn't apply concealer to the rest of my face. I just don't, and to be honest, I don't think it's that helpful when you do a tiny strip down your nose, and I just wouldn't do that in a regular day. So we're just going to be testing the under eyes for today. So this is what it's looking right now. This side is the Tarte and this is the Kosas. So in natural daylight, as you can see, I applied the rest of my makeup. And I notice a little bit of creasing right here. Sorry about the car, you guys, I'm outside. So tell me what you guys notice, or if you notice a difference yet. Alright, so we are going to cut into swatches now. Okay everybody, so the first swatch on the left is the Tarte Ultra Creamy Shape Tape in the shade 12B, and the shade on the right is the Kosas in the shade 1.5. So the Tarte shade is definitely lighter, and I'd say even more cool tone than the Kosas, but on my face I think they blended out to be pretty similar, surprisingly. So hopefully this is helpful for you guys, and let's get to the topic of the day. Alright, so hopefully those swatches were helpful for you guys. So for those that are here for the topic of the day, what options could I use to supplement Social Security income? So I received a lot of DMs the other day and questions regarding what a fixed annuity is versus an income annuity. Now a fixed annuity is not an option that I would use to supplement Social Security, but because these two annuity options often get confused, we're going to discuss the main differences between a fixed versus an income annuity. Now again, if you have any questions or you're interested in a product like this, always discuss these questions with your own financial advisor. After all, everyone's situation is completely unique and different, so what works for one person may not necessarily be the best option for everyone. So let's start off with what a fixed annuity is. So as I mentioned, a fixed annuity really would not be the best option to supplement retirement income. It's more of a guaranteed investment vehicle. So just to give you an example, let's say you were to invest $100,000 into a fixed annuity. What the fixed annuity will do for you is provide a guaranteed return of interest for the length of the contract or until you were to pass away. So just for an example, let's say you were to invest $100,000 into a fixed annuity. Fixed annuities are set up to grant you a rate of return through interest that is guaranteed. Now years ago, when inflation wasn't quite as bad, you could actually get some pretty good rate of returns on fixed annuities, but nowadays they're hovering at about 1%. So this may not be the best option for everyone, but I just want to explain how it works. So say year one, you invest $100,000. After that first year, say your guaranteed rate of return is 3%, then at the end of year one, you would have $103,000 in your fixed annuity. So the trade-off with fixed annuities is while yes, they're great in the sense that they will give you a guaranteed rate of return for the length of the contract, what you are sacrificing is a good rate of return. As I mentioned, nowadays they're hovering around 1%. So if you were to invest $100,000, after year one, you'll only have $101,000. Whereas if you were to invest in the market, you could potentially earn anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 or even $20,000, depending on market volatility that particular year. One of the questions I often get regarding fixed annuities are what are the fees or hidden fees as some people may mention. Now most fixed annuities do not actually have fees. Yes, they are guaranteeing you a rate of return, but because it's so small, they typically do not charge you any fees with these types of accounts. A fixed annuity, you'll invest a portion of your money to grow a return over a long time. So now let's discuss an income annuity. As I mentioned, an income annuity is very different than a fixed annuity. A fixed annuity, you typically have to have a certain portion of money, sort of like a down payment, to dump into the account in order to net you that rate of return. Whereas an income annuity is set up to give you a guaranteed income stream for either a portion of time or for the rest of your life. So again, going back to that $100,000 option, say you were to invest $100,000 into an income annuity, then that would grant you a certain amount of money guaranteed as an income stream. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, well, how much can I get for an income annuity? There is no one answer because it depends on your age, how much you invest, and when you'd like to retire. So I'm just going to ballpark some numbers here just so at least you can have an idea for how it works. So say you are 65 years old and you're about to retire. If you were to convert that $100,000 into the income annuity, then you could have, say, a $600 per month payment the rest of your life. Now, that number is not exact. I'm just throwing numbers off the top of my head here, but that's basically how it works. So one of the questions I typically get at this point is, okay, well, I understand what the difference is between a fixed versus an income annuity, but what about a fixed annuity versus a CD? So most of you are probably familiar with CDs. In fact, years ago, CDs operated very similarly to a fixed annuity. In fact, they still do operate similarly. However, with the same issue with inflation that we run into with fixed annuities, CDs are also running into interest rate risk. So about 20 years ago, if you were to invest in a CD, you could get a 12 to 15% return. Now that is a fantastic return for a guaranteed return that you're looking to put towards your retirement. But unfortunately nowadays, just like fixed annuities, CDs are netting on average about 1%. So not a great return on your investment. The other difference between CDs versus a fixed annuity is that CDs, you do have to pay taxes on every year, whether or not you withdraw from those accounts. With a fixed annuity, they grow tax deferred. And I do just want to mention, once again, always discuss these topics or questions with your own financial advisor and tax advisor. I always say this, but I cannot stress the importance. There are always nuances, always exceptions to these rules, but this is typically how these annuities and CDs work. Okay, so if you're following along, if you could please comment monetary makeup in the comment section. I want to make sure that I'm actually making sense for you guys. So I don't know if I am unless you make that comment. So please do that. It would be greatly appreciated to know you're following along. Okay, so just to recap, a fixed annuity, you have to have a certain amount of money to invest in the annuity, and that grants you a guaranteed rate of return over a certain amount of time. So it is meant more for long-term growth with low risk. An income annuity is almost the opposite. An income annuity is where you invest X amount of dollars, and that account is then transferred to offer you a guaranteed income stream for life, which could help supplement your retirement income if you think or know Social Security is just not going to be enough to survive on for you. Or maybe it doesn't offer the lifestyle that you would like to live throughout your retirement. So at this point, you're probably wondering, okay, all this sounds great, but what's the downside? What's the catch? So I don't like using that term because as long as you are fully informed of these options, you should be able to make the decision that's best for you and with your financial advisor. If I were to say if there was a catch, the catch comes down to liquidity. So that is always what you will sacrifice with any type of annuity. In fact, there's more annuities than just fixed and income annuities, and we just went over two today. So you do not want to invest in an annuity if you think you may need to withdraw from those annuities in the near future or for the length of the contract. Hi everybody, hopefully that information with the topic of the day was helpful for you. Definitely comment monetary makeup below and just let me know if you were able to follow along and if it made sense. And also if you have any suggestions for my next video. My makeup has been on now for about 9 hours and it is so hot today. You can definitely see my oils peeking through. And in case you were wondering, I did not set any of my face today. I just wanted to see how the concealer performed on its own. So let me give you a close-up so you can see what it looks like. So this side is the Tarte side, and this side, my right, is the Kosas concealer. So I do notice more creasing on the Tarte side than I do on the Kosas side. And I have to be honest with you guys, I'm pretty excited because you know when a lot of products are hyped up and then you try them and they're just not that great? That's kind of how I felt about the Kosas concealer. But I absolutely love it. I think it looks fantastic, and I applied a lot more concealer than I normally would. So even with all that excess product, I think it looks super natural, it's creamy, and it has skincare ingredients. So the Kosas Revealer Concealer is getting a thumbs up from me, and the new Tarte Creamy Shape Tape, that did do a great job as well. But if I had to pick a favorite, Tarte versus Kosas, Kosas definitely nailed this concealer, so I'm definitely going to be going and picking up another shade, probably lighter. So once again, I use shade 1.5, but I would like maybe just one shade lighter, but it has to be a cool undertone for my super pink skin. Granted, once again, it's about 90 degrees today, so my makeup is melting off, but it did actually hold up pretty well considering how hot it is. I mean, you can still see all of my makeup, which is awesome. Always love when we have a great end to a wear test. So if you guys found this video helpful, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I'm a brand new YouTuber and it really does help to reach more people. And share the video with a friend if you have someone who is not retired yet and is considering an option to supplement Social Security income. So thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for my next video where I'm going to be going over some of my hidden gems and favorite makeup products that are not talked about very much on YouTube. So that's going to be super exciting. So thanks so much, you guys. I hope you have a fantastic night, and I'll see you later. Bye!